Okay, so misunderstanding of health statistics is also a major risk factor for misinformation. So many doctors, surprisingly, don't understand health statistics and therefore cannot evaluate evidence for and against a treatment. So in one study several years ago of 150 gynecologists, a third did not actually understand the meaning of a 25% risk reduction from mammography screening, so screening for breast cancer. Most of that third believed that if all women were screened, 250 out of 1,000 less would die of breast cancer. But actually, when you look at the data, you'd have to screen 2,000 women to prevent one death from detecting and saving them from breast cancer. So 1 out of 2,000 is actually the actual figure. And a smaller study that was carried out a few years later, despite this awareness, although many of the doctors asked knew about the benefit not being that great, none of them were aware of the harm. So for every one lady that was saved from breast cancer from screening, 10 were harmed by receiving an unnecessary treatment or an operation. So let me just give you a very basic, simple mathematical education on statistics here. And it's not rocket science, and I think this is a crucial part. So there are many ways of actually presenting a benefit: a relative risk or absolute risk, also known as the numbers needed to treat NNT. So if you communicate relative risks, as opposed to NNT or absolute risk, it can actually lead lay people to, and doctors also, to overestimate the benefits of a treatment. So let me give you an example. For people with type 2 diabetes, the published medical literature, tells us that if you take atorvastatin, a cholesterol-lowering drug, 10 milligrams every day for 4 years, there's a 48% relative risk reduction in having a stroke. That sounds quite impressive. You're 48% less likely to have a stroke if you take 10 milligrams of atorvastatin every day for 4 years. But what does that actually mean when you look at the data? Well, it means you reduce the risk of having a stroke from having no treatment, no statin, from 28 in 1,000 to 15 in 1,000, which means there's an absolute risk reduction of 1.3%. So what does that mean for the individual in real terms? The actual way to say to that patient is if you take atorvastatin 10 milligrams every day for 4 years, there's a 1 in 77 chance that the drug will prevent you having a stroke. Very different to 48% relative risk reduction. Most people do not benefit. The benefits are small, but you may decide that that benefit is good for you, or you may decide it's not. It's very different.
These are my suitcase Susies who will use their beauty and free giveaways to make sure our drug is prescribed.
Cool. Are they robots?
No, robots can develop human feelings. We're graduates of Arizona State.
Dr. Snatcher and Dr. Bowden say we got it all wrong when it comes to cholesterol by making 2 fundamental mistakes, and they're big ones. They say the first mistake is believing that cholesterol causes heart attacks. So I must say, I was taught that going through school. I think most folks here probably believe that cholesterol is involved with heart attacks. Why is that a mistake?
Well, first of all, cholesterol does not cause heart disease. Look, half the people with normal cholesterol have heart disease, and half the people with elevated cholesterol have normal hearts. So something's wrong here with this scenario. And look, you need cholesterol. It's vital for our cellular function. It makes vitamin D in the skin. It helps with cerebral vascular function. It helps with neurotransmitter function so we can think better. And it lubricates the skin. So it's a vital component of our lives, and it's protective. You know, it protects people from infectious disease of the GI tract, of the lungs. The higher your cholesterol, the less hemorrhagic stroke. And I got to tell you, the higher your cholesterol, according to some studies in Europe, the longer you're going to live.
You're kidding me. So some are arguing that higher cholesterols are actually better for you.
Yes.
Well, the Framingham study, which is the longest-running study of heart disease, the Framingham, Massachusetts, the older people with the highest cholesterol actually live the longest. That's right in the data.
I first tried it because other kids were trying it. When I feel real bad about something, it was a way of getting to feel better.